In 1992, Yamaha built a street-legal car with a Formula 1 engine and a fighter jet canopy. Only 3 exist. You've probably never heard of it. That's the problem with Japanese automotive history. The most revolutionary cars are the ones that disappeared. Today, we're uncovering 8 forgotten Japanese vehicles that pushed boundaries, broke rules, and somehow slipped through the cracks of history. Number 8. Yamaha OX99-11. The Yamaha OX99-11 wasn't supposed to be a car, it was supposed to be a statement. In the early 1990s, Yamaha was dominating Formula 1 engine development. They'd built screaming V12 engines for teams like Brabham and Jordan, naturally aspirated monsters that rev to 13,000 RPM. But here's the thing about F1 engines. They're designed to last about 200 miles before they grenade themselves. Yamaha's engineers had a wild idea. What if we could make one reliable enough for the street? Enter IAD, a British design firm with a reputation for solving impossible problems. Their brief was simple. Take Yamaha's F1 V12 and build a road car around it. The result was unlike anything that existed. The OX99-11 featured a carbon fiber monocoque chassis, the same technology F1 teams used. But the real innovation was the seating. Drawing from Yamaha's motorcycle heritage, they placed the passenger directly behind the driver, tandem configuration, like a fighter jet. This wasn't a design gimmick. It reduced frontal area and improved aerodynamics dramatically. The body was hand-formed aluminum panels, each one shaped for maximum downforce. The front featured an integrated nose wing. Massive side air intakes fed the mid-mounted engine. And that canopy, it opened upward like a jet cockpit, revealing a cabin stripped down to pure function. Under that canopy sat a modified version of Yamaha's OX99 V12. The racing version made 600 horsepower at 13,000 RPM. The road car detuned to 400 horsepower at 10,000 RPM, naturally aspirated, dual overhead cams, 60 valves, 5 per cylinder. The sound alone was worth the $800,000 price tag. Performance numbers were absurd, 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, top speed of 217 miles per hour. At just 2,205 pounds, the power-to-weight ratio rivaled pure racing machines. Double wishbone suspension, ventilated disc brakes, everything engineered to handle like it belonged on a track. But brilliant engineering doesn't guarantee success. Development costs spiraled, tensions erupted between Yamaha and IAD over budget allocation. Then Japan's economic bubble burst. An $800,000 supercar from a motorcycle manufacturer with zero supercar credibility. The math didn't work. In 1994, Yamaha canceled the project. 3 prototypes, that's all that survived. Number 7. Nissan Pao. From fighter jets to something completely different. In 1989, while other manufacturers chased performance and practicality, Nissan released the Pao, a tiny hatchback that looked like it escaped from a 1960s European film. Rounded headlights, external door hinges, a split tailgate that belonged on a vintage wagon. The Pao was part of Nissan's Pike series, 4 vehicles designed to break every rule of conventional automotive design. The B1, the Figaro, the S-Cargo, and the Pao, each one stranger than the last. But the Pao stood out for one reason. It actually made sense. Naoki Sakai designed it, the same man who worked for Olympus before joining Nissan and later contributed to Toyota's Will series. His approach was radical for 1989. He didn't want to build a car, he wanted to build an emotional connection. Every design element referenced automotive history. The external door hinges lifted straight from the original Austin Mini. They weren't decorative, they allowed the doors to open wider, making entry easier in tight spaces. The flip-up windows came from the Citroën 2 CV, that beloved French economy car known for its simplicity. The split tailgate paid homage to the Austin A 40 Farina Countryman. Upper glass section lifts up, lower portion folds down. But here's where Nissan got clever. Underneath that nostalgic exterior sat the platform from a Nissan March, known as the Micra in most markets. A simple, reliable subcompact with proven mechanicals. The Pao used a 987 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine, producing 52 horsepower. Paired with either a 3-speed automatic or 5-speed manual, it topped out around 68 miles per hour. The interior continued the retro theme. Canvas upholstery reminiscent of vintage outdoor furniture. A simple dashboard with round gauges, minimalist controls, everything designed to feel approachable and friendly rather than technical and intimidating. Nissan originally planned to build 10,000 units. They received 51,657 orders before production even started. The entire run sold out in 3 months. Every single Pao Pao stayed in Japan. None were officially exported. Today they're scattered across the globe through gray market imports, and enthusiasts pay premium prices for clean examples. Number 6. Mazda AutoZam as 1. Speaking of character, imagine a K car with gullwing doors. In 1992, Mazda's AutoZam division released the AZ1, a mid-engine sports car that measured just 130 inches long and weighed 1,600 pounds. Japanese K-car regulations meant the engine couldn't exceed 660 cubic centimeters. Most manufacturers responded with boring commuter boxes. Mazda built a miniature supercar. The design came from Suzuki, which is why some AZ1s wear Suzuki badges as the Kara. But regardless of the nameplate, the concept was identical, a lightweight sports car that prioritized handling over straight-line speed. Those gullwing doors weren't a gimmick. The AZ1's structure used a steel space frame with fiberglass reinforced plastic body panels. The doors hinged at the roof because traditional doors would have compromised structural rigidity on such a small platform. Pop them open and the effect is theatrical. You're climbing into what looks like a miniature supercar. Power came from a turbocharged 657 cubic centimeter inline 3 borrowed from the Suzuki Cappuccino. It produced 63 horsepower, the maximum allowed under K-car regulations. That sounds laughable until you remember the curb weight. 63 horsepower in a 1,600 pound car with a mid-engine layout creates something special. The AZ1 hit 60 miles per hour in about 10 seconds. Top speed was electronically limited to 87 miles per hour. Not impressive on paper, but on a tight mountain road, the physics worked differently. Mid-engine weight distribution, double wishbone suspension at all 4 corners, rack and pinion steering with minimal assist. The AZ1 handled like a go-kart with a roof. Mazda built 4,392 units between 1992 and 1995. Suzuki produced another 531. Production ended because sales couldn't justify the manufacturing costs. The AZ1 was expensive for a K car, roughly $14,000 new, which was more than practical alternatives with actual trunks and comfortable seats. Number 5. Daihatsu Compagno. Before Japanese cars dominated global markets, someone had to go first. In 1963, Daihatsu, a company known primarily for 3-wheeled commercial vehicles, decided to build a passenger car, and not just any passenger car, one designed by Italians, built by Japanese engineers, and ambitious enough to crack the European market. The Compagno started as a disaster. At the 1961 Tokyo Motor Show, Daihatsu unveiled their first passenger car prototype. It borrowed heavily from Fiat's 1800 and 2100 models. The public response was brutal. Critics called it derivative, uninspired, forgettable. Daihatsu made a crucial decision. They partnered with Vignale, an Italian design firm with serious credentials in automotive aesthetics. The name they chose was deliberate. Compagno meant companion or partner in Italian. This wasn't just marketing. Daihatsu planned to build multiple variants on one platform: 2-door sedan, 4-door sedan, pickup, van, and convertible. Revolutionary thinking for a Japanese manufacturer in 1963. The first production model rolled out in April 1963, the Compagno light van, model F35V. 2 months later came the wagon. But the real statement arrived in November 1963, the Berlina 2-door sedan. That's where the Italian influence showed properly. The deluxe trim featured an Italian-inspired dashboard and a 3-spoke Nardi steering wheel, European styling with Japanese reliability. Early models used a 797 cubic centimeter 4-cylinder engine making 41 horsepower, modest but sufficient to push the lightweight car to 68 miles per hour. 4-speed manual transmission, ladder frame chassis that provided structural integrity while allowing easy modification for different body styles. Independent wishbone suspension with torsion bars up front, live axle with semi-elliptical leaf springs at the rear. The engineering was sound. In 1965, Daihatsu upgraded to a 958 cubic centimeter engine producing 55 horsepower. The sporty Spider convertible variant got a twin carburetor setup pushing 65 horsepower and a top speed of 81 miles per hour. That same year, the Compagno became the first Japanese car officially imported into the United Kingdom. Not just shipped over, officially imported with dealer support and warranty backing. This was Japan's opening move into the European automotive market. Here's what mattered though. The Compagno proved Japanese manufacturers could compete internationally. It paved the way for Toyota, Nissan, and Honda to follow. Between 1963 and 1970, Daihatsu built approximately 120,000 Compagnos across all variants. modest numbers but significant for establishing the company's reputation beyond commercial vehicles. The Campagno wasn't just a car, it was a proof of concept. Japanese engineering could match European design, and when the Daihatsu Consorte replaced it in 1970, the company had already secured its place in passenger car manufacturing. Number 4. Toyota Classic. In 1996, Toyota did something unusual for a major automaker. They looked backward. The occasion was the 60th anniversary of their first passenger car, the 1936 Toyota Model AA. Most companies would have released a commemorative book or hosted a ceremony. Toyota built a functioning replica with modern mechanicals underneath. The Toyota Classic wasn't subtle about its inspiration. Rounded fenders floating above the wheels, a tall, commanding grille dominating the front end, freestanding headlamps mounted on short stalks, a signature feature of pre-war automobiles, side stakes, wide fenders housing narrow tires on delicate lace alloy wheels. Every detail referenced 1930s automotive design. But this wasn't a Restomod or a kit car. The Classic sat on a 5th generation Toyota Hilux pickup platform, specifically the RN86 rear-wheel drive frame. Under that vintage hood, you'd find a 2.0-liter 3YE inline-4 producing 96 horsepower and 118 pound-feet of torque. Not impressive by any standard, but substantially more powerful than the original Model AA's output. The dimensions were substantial: 192 inches long, 68 inches wide, 65 inches tall, wheelbase of 102 inches, curb weight of 3,263 pounds. It had road presence, the kind that made people stop and stare. Here's where it gets interesting. Toyota built exactly 100 units. Each one cost approximately $75,000, a significant sum in 1996 that reflected both the car's unique nature and its limited availability. All 100 stayed in Japan. 0 exports, 0 exceptions. The timing was deliberate. The 1990s saw a renaissance in retro-styled vehicles. Nissan had the Figaro, Plymouth released the Prowler, but the Toyota Classic stood apart. It wasn't inspired by vintage design. It was a direct homage to Toyota's first passenger car, created with a level of detail that went beyond nostalgia into genuine historical recreation. Today, finding one outside Japan is nearly impossible. The few that left the country through gray market imports command premium prices from collectors who understand what the Classic represents, a bridge between Toyota's humble beginnings and its position as a global automotive giant. Number 3. Subaru SVX. In 1991, Subaru hired Giorgetto Giugiaro to design a Grand Tourer. Giugiaro had penned icons: the DeLorean DMC-12, the Lotus Esprit, the original VW Golf. His portfolio was legendary. What he created for Subaru confused everyone. The SVX featured window-within-a-window design, full-height glass with a smaller openable section inside. Giugiaro called it innovative. Critics called it impractical. Owners just wanted windows that rolled down completely. But that controversial design element overshadowed something more important. The SVX was genuinely capable. Under the sleek bodywork sat Subaru's EG33 flat-6 engine, a 3.3-liter horizontally opposed 6-cylinder producing 230 horsepower and 228 pound-feet of torque. Symmetrical all-wheel drive was standard. This wasn't a front-wheel drive luxury coupe pretending to be sporty. It had legitimate performance credentials. The chassis borrowed heavily from the Subaru legacy, but engineers stiffened the structure and refined the suspension geometry. Double wishbones up front, trailing arms with semi-trailing links at the rear. The result was a car that handled competently while maintaining comfort for long-distance cruising. Here's where Subaru made a critical mistake. They only offered the SVX with a 4-speed automatic transmission, no manual option ever. For a car marketed as a sports GT, this decision alienated enthusiasts who wanted full control. The automatic was smooth and refined, but it reinforced the SVX's identity crisis. Was it a luxury cruiser or a performance coupe? Subaru never committed to one answer. Sales reflected that confusion. Between 1992 and 1997, Subaru sold roughly 24,000 SVXs globally. About 14,000 went to the US market. Decent numbers, but not enough to justify continued production. The SVX was expensive, around $24,000 when new, which put it in competition with established luxury brands that had better reputations. Production ended in 1996 for most markets, with Japan receiving the final units through 1997. Subaru didn't replace it. The company refocused on what worked: practical all-wheel drive sedans and wagons, plus the rally-bred WRX and STI models that actually moved volume. Number 2. Mitsubishi HSR. In 1989, Mitsubishi unveiled a concept car that looked like it had driven directly from a science fiction film. The HSR, short for Highly Safety Research, wasn't just another auto show fantasy. It was a functioning prototype packed with technology that would appear in production cars decades later. The HSR's exterior was pure 1980s futurism, low, wide stance, sharp angular lines, a drag coefficient of just 0.28, active aerodynamics that adjusted based on speed. But the real innovation was inside and underneath. Mitsubishi equipped the HSR with adaptive suspension that monitored road conditions and adjusted damping in real time. Four-wheel steering that improved maneuverability at low speeds and stability at high speeds. An advanced all-wheel drive system that could vary torque distribution between axles. These weren't pie-in-the-sky concepts, they were working systems that demonstrated genuine engineering capability. Power came from a twin turbocharged V6 producing around 300 horsepower. Mitsubishi never published exact figures because the HSR remained a concept, but performance estimates suggested 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds and a top speed exceeding 180 miles per hour. Mitsubishi built multiple HSR prototypes between 1989 and 1993, each one refining different systems. The HSR2 focused on safety improvements. The HSR3 explored advanced driver assistance features. The HSR4 experimented with hybrid powertrains. None of these prototypes reached production as complete vehicles, but their influence rippled through Mitsubishi's lineup. The HSR represented peak Japanese bubble economy thinking. Engineers had budgets to explore every possible technology without worrying about profitability. When Japan's economy collapsed in the early 1990s, that freedom evaporated. Concept cars became more conservative. Innovation slowed. Number 1, Toyota Serra. Let's end with butterfly doors. In 1990, Toyota released the Serra, a small coupe with doors that opened upward and forward like butterfly wings. Not gullwing doors that hinged at the roof. Not scissor doors that swung straight up. Butterfly doors that combined both motions, creating one of the most dramatic entry sequences in any affordable car. The name Serra came from French, Serra meaning will be, as in future tense. Toyota's marketing positioned it as a glimpse of future design language. In reality, it was a parts bin special with spectacular doors attached. Underneath sat the platform from a Toyota Tercel and Corolla 2. The engine was a 1.5-liter inline-4 producing 108 horsepower, front-wheel drive, 5-speed manual or 4-speed automatic. 0 to 60 took about 10 seconds. Top speed was around 118 miles per hour. Nothing about the mechanicals suggested performance. But those doors, pressed the handle and they rotated upward and forward, the glass canopy lifting away to reveal the interior. The effect was theatrical, especially on a car that cost around $13,000 new. It made every parking lot entrance an event. The Serra featured extensive glass, not just the doors, but a glass roof panel that extended rearward, creating an airy cabin with exceptional visibility. Inside, the design was typical early 1990s Toyota. Straightforward dashboard, simple controls, comfortable seats. Nothing special except the view. Sitting in a Serra felt like being in a greenhouse on wheels. Toyota built the Serra exclusively for the Japanese market between 1990 and 1995. Total production reached approximately 15,900 units. The car never received official export to other markets, though gray market imports eventually spread Serras worldwide, particularly to the UK where Japanese import culture was strong. Today, clean Serras command decent money from enthusiasts who appreciate the sheer audacity of putting butterfly doors on an economy car platform. McLaren does it on the F1, Ferrari does it on the LaFerrari, Toyota did it on a car that shared parts with a Corolla.